Chopping off y'all laid down, cops chopping off y'all legs now. Shit. God watch hey Yahweh. My niggas look up to the sky like we sending in Yahweh. We sending in Yahweh.
That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Y'all see what the fuck going on out here? Killer, Harlem, I-95 shit, Carolina, 2-6, stand up, nigga.
Put your hood up, put your hood up, put your hood up, put your hood up, put your click up, put your click up, put your click up, put your click up. Represent your shit, motherfucker. Represent your shit, motherfucker. Represent your click, motherfucker. Represent your click.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Out of Time Productions, Season 5, Episode 4. I'm one of your co-hosts, Chris, followed by my other co-host, Reed, Marcus. We got a special guest with us today, Rashawn McClam. How you feeling, my guy?
Yo, what's good, man? What's good? For those of y'all don't know, Way to 8 podcast, but we ain't talking music today. We talking sports. That's what we on, man. Love to y'all boys. Been a big fan for a minute. Y'all boys keep going, man. I don't know who said that enough, but y'all heard it from Rated first, so let's tap in.
So let's do it. I like that intro. So let's get right into it. It's NBA. That's pretty much what's the name of the game right now. 15 minutes on the dot. I looked at my wrist and I ain't got to watch on, but you know it's time for the draft. So let's get into it. Let's get into it, right? Number one through however we feel. How we feel about this draft, man? I mean, I feel like the number one pick is already solidified, but I'll be quite honest, 2 through about maybe 4, 3, it's up in the air. So let's get it going. Mark, you kick it off. How you feeling, man?
Like you said, number one is kind of already solidified. We know where direction they're going, Victor Wembanyama. In my opinion, I think the draft is really in between 2, and I want to say maybe like 14, 15. In my opinion, like 2 to 15 is like those teams that's in that range, depending who they draft, could be a key piece as far as even being a contender or being a, just upgrading their franchise a little bit with a little youth. But really the main concern is this 2 and 3, Charlotte and Portland. Like who's going to take Scoot or who's going to take Brandon Miller? It's not too much talent out there. I mean, it is, but it's not. Like I'm not hype off the Thompson twins because they were like 20, 21 playing against 18, 19-year-olds in G League. I'm not too sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying comp. They're going against every other night, I guess. So I'm not too sure on that. I do like Anthony Black. See, that's the thing. I just like some of these guys that's coming out because it's like I say, if Anthony Black was to fall to, I got to pull up the draft while I'm thinking. I'm going to come back to the Anthony Black thing. But just with some of these teams within the 2 to 14 range, Charlotte, Portland, Houston, Detroit, Orlando, Indiana, Washington, Utah, Dallas, Orlando again, OKC, Toronto, the Pelicans, the Hawks. So it's like, if Anthony Black, let's say he falls to OKC, you got a lot of young talent. He's a 6'8" guard. He can spread the floor. He can run the offense. Shea can play the 2 if need be. I just feel like some of these teams, bro, they just got to draft right. Like, that's what this draft is to me this year. Like, most of the time we be like, oh, okay, after a certain number, it's whatever. But this year, in my opinion, I feel like these teams have to draft the best for their team, not the best available. And that's where a lot of teams mess up. They just go, oh, well, he's the last one left. Let's get him. But you got to look at it from a team's perspective. Why would you go get a guard if you're Orlando? You got like 5 of them. Why not go get another small forward, let Paolo do his thing wherever he wants? You know what I'm saying? Have him some help. So I just feel like it depends on what these teams really draft and what they're going for. It's some talent in here. They just, like I said, you got to draft what's for your team. I feel like these teams are just going to draft the best available. Like Jordan Hawkins from UConn. If he falls to the Lakers, I'm cool with that. I'll take him. Or Buddy from Michigan. I can't think of his name. Somebody help me.
What do he look like?
Michigan.
Wow. That's crazy. He's a guard from Michigan. Kobe.
Buffkin.
Okay.
Kobe Buskin. If he falls to the Lakers, I'm cool with that. Like, it just depends on where these players go, like, to benefit the team. Like Derek Lively. What if he go to
He's
what if
definitely
he
top
go
15 pick. I would, yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like what if he goes to Indiana? You already got Benedict Mathurin, you got Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, Buddy Hill, they might be off the block, but who if they stay, like you have a team now. So now you're in the East. So you don't need much to be a 6, 7, 8 playing team. Like you don't need a lot. So I just feel like some of these teams, it just depends on who they draft, in my opinion. But I like the draft. But after 17, after the Lakers pick, it's all she wrote. I don't care.
So I'm gonna actually touch base on one of the points that you made, and I'm gonna kick it to Reed. When you talked about the Magic drafting guards, when they have guards, a lot of times you got to understand too what's on your team, and you got to look at the track record of these players that have been on your team. Prime
Right.
example, let's go off the Magic. You got two guys in Markelle Fultz. Well, really one guy, Markelle Fultz, who just this past year we started to see a small increase. If I'm looking at a guard coming out of this draft and I'm like, look, I don't have to really worry about injuries out of this guy from a hindsight 2020 perspective, but I have to worry about injuries with Markelle Fultz. I'm shipping Markelle Fultz. To be quite honest, the only two guards on that team is Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony. Everybody else can get shipped.
And not to cut you off, I just seen something on Twitter that Orlando's trying to get rid of both, either one of them or both of them. So that's what I'm
I've
saying
seen
as
that
far as
too.
like, yeah, like if you're going to keep Markelle, Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, and no, that's all their main guards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at that point, you wasting a pick. I mean, I'm not saying you're wasting it because Anthony Black can bring you value to your team. So if you draft him, then you can get rid of those other pieces, like you said, Markelle, if I want to, or Cole, or Jalen. But it's like, why if we plan to keep these three, why not go in the direction to either get us a two guard, another like power forward or center? I feel like Paulo got that 3 spot locked up. Like you don't really need a backup 3 for him. I wouldn't draft one this high.
Paulo plays
For
4.
Paulo. Oh, he's the 4-man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that's the case, then yeah. So I will look into either a 3, a center, or then a guard. You know, just depending on what's left, because they got so they got 2 picks. They got the 6th and the 11th. So Orlando wasn't a good example because they can go big guard, big, just depending on what's left at that time. So, but yeah.
So Reed, let me hear what you got, man.
This draft, outside of the first 3, I think the rest of this draft is just strictly role players. People that you plug in, and you try to give them a role that they can fulfill.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's a Tyus Jones type role. I don't see, outside of those top 3, I don't see any superstars.
Okay.
Not necessarily, because I don't want to, because when you say role player, some people might take that as like a negative connotation. Role player, oh, you're not. But I feel like this draft is filled with, there are more important pieces, more important role players that can fill a role for a team rather than, I need you to come in and be that guy. Wembanyama, he's going to come in. I need you to be that guy. Scoot, I need you to be that guy. Brandon Miller, I need you to be that guy. Right. Everybody else, I just see them as, hey, you're not that guy, but I don't need you to be trash. You know what I'm saying? My expectations for you aren't as high as a third man, but your job, I need you to fulfill that job.
So I'm gonna cut you off right there. And I'm gonna let you finish, and then we'll get to Sean. So do you think that's the landscape in which a lot of the drafts are going now? Because you go back, I say go back about maybe 2-3 years. Outside of maybe the top 3, top 4 picks, who else really shined to say like, okay, this guy is taking the league by storm? I'm just saying 2-3 years, because we go back further, then yes, there's a whole lot more guys who are considered superstars. I hate using that term, but everybody else uses it.
They have the expectation of becoming one.
Yes. So do you think is that where the drafts are going now? Like if you're not really in the top 3, then it's like, whatever.
Some with the as of recent.
Yeah,
Yes.
like let's just say 2-3 years.
As
Let's
of
go back to like
as
20,
of recently,
2019.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. As of recently, yes. Can that change? Yes, but as of recent, the draft has been more. You're not expecting them to become big names outside of the top. I want to say we might go top 5, but outside of it, because even if we go back to the 2022 draft, you still have 5 guys that you were like, we're expecting at least high all-star.
What 5?
So if
Oh,
we go
God.
back,
What 5 you
if we
talking
go
about?
back,
Five is crazy.
Paolo,
Okay, 1.
Chet,
Okay, he
Okay.
got hurt, but okay.
Jaden Ivey.
Who?
Yeah, he was talked about. He was talked about a lot.
He
I
was
give you
talked
that.
about as going top 3. He was talked about as going top 3 and being
But
that
look-
guy because he was getting coached by who was he getting coached by? He was cool with somebody in the NBA already that was a superstar. Was
No,
it
his
Ja?
mom.
I'm
No,
going off of where he went, and that's my fault. But yes, okay, I give you that.
I'm going off. Okay. So we got Paolo, Chet, Jaden. Damn, that's
number
it.
4?
Never mind. Never,
3. It's that
Never
3 is
mind.
that magic number. I'm telling you.
You're not lying because I'm looking at Jabari Smith. He wasn't supposed
No.
to be.
Poochie.
He wasn't looked at. I got Keegan Murray. He wasn't looked at as
Hey,
like that.
hold on,
He was
Reek.
looked at as being a low all-star, but not like a superstar
But
caliber
Reek,
player.
But Reek, to your point about how, or to Chris' point about how he acts, is the draft moving that way? In my opinion, I feel like Keegan Murray is the perfect example of how the draft is moving now. Keegan Murray wasn't really talked about much.
Yeah.
I mean, he was coming out of college. He kind of was a little bit on the radar. He gets to Sacramento, gets that starting role. He's able to figure his way out. He gets, all rookie team, all of this good stuff. I feel like that's how it is now. You're really drafting for roles. Like, okay, you're going to be the off the bench point guard. You're going to be the spark that we need for down. You're going to be the big man to replace him because you're young and can run and do this, that, and that. It's not really like, oh, we expect you to either be here or here. You know what I'm saying? I think it's kind of like now we're starting to get to the point to where it's like, okay, he's not great, but he's not nothing we can't use. We can use him, but we just got to find our way to use him. I think that's what the draft is really coming to. Not to take nobody's flow. My bad.
And with this 2022 draft, will we count Jalen Duran?
Yeah. No.
Because I feel like they was talked about as Jalen Duran was getting talked about as being he has the potential of being like one of the best big men in the league.
I mean, when you
I
get
wouldn't
drafted
count
to
it
Detroit,
because I wouldn't count it because if we're going off of picks, right? Jalen Duran slipped to 14 because Hornets were supposed to grab him, but we traded him to Pistons. So what was the Pistons pick?
Pistons were.
You asking too much. You asking too much, Chris. I don't know, bro.
I'm just
It
asking.
was up there.
They were number
It
5. They were
wasn't-
number 5. They were
Yeah,
number 5.
I'm about to say it had to be like top 5.
Okay, so
because they
in
got
that
Jaden
case-
Ivey.
Okay, so when we traded him to 14, then I wouldn't really count him just because he's so low. Now, if he was maybe 6'7", then I give you that. But
Now, was he projected to go that? I don't think he was projected to go that low.
No, he wasn't.
I thought he was supposed to go to projected to be like top 5, and then he dropped.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was the 5th. He was after Keegan Murray, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was them 5.
I thought it was Jaden Ivey after Keegan Murray.
No, it was
No,
Jaden Ivey.
Jaden Ivey was
Ivey.
3rd.
No,
It was?
Yeah, I'm looking at because I'm
Okay.
looking at it right now. Magic it was the Magic with Pialo. It was Chet with the
Wait,
Thunder.
who? Hold on.
Jabari Smith.
Hold on.
Pialo.
Pialo. Who is Pialo?
Paolo. Paolo. My bad. I'm switching the 2 letters. My
My
bad.
fault.
I switched my 2 vowels.
I thought this was a
Paolo
foreign dude we never seen.
to the Magic. Chet Holmgren to the
There
Thunder.
we go.
Jabari to the Rockets. Keegan to the Kings, and Jaden to the Pistons.
Yeah.
Benedict
Okay.
Mathurin went to the Pacers at 6. Damn, Shaden Sharp went that high?
See?
I didn't know that.
Because, I mean, to y'all point, that's what the league is turning into. Like, it's turning into like, okay, we grabbing guys that we feel like can help us. You know what I'm saying? I like shaking the
That's how it
sharp
should be
before.
though.
Yeah, facts.
Jeremy
Not
Sohan went.
old.
You
Who?
said what, Reed?
Jeremy Sohan went before Jalen Duran.
To San Antonio.
Yeah,
Yeah, because look,
He had little
look.
spurts of like.
But look, yeah, and then he won the Natty with Baylor with Davion Mitchell and what was the other boy name? The other guard. Oh,
Oh, I remember.
he got drafted to
Oh.
Utah. He got drafted to
Oh,
Utah.
Ochi,
No, you're
is that?
wrong. You're wrong.
Oh,
Try
that's
again.
Kansas.
Try
That's
again.
Kansas.
Abaji.
That's my fault.
Jared
Abaji
Butler.
played with Kansas.
Jared, no, hush. Jared Butler was when Jeremy Shohan and Davion Mitchell won the Natty against Gonzaga. That's when Jeremy Shohan was getting all this
You're
hype.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was getting the hype of, oh, he could be the next like Dennis Rodman type player, like da 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 defense. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like the league need to go to like, what can we get for us? Like, what's best for the team? Not, oh, is he talked about, or does he have this hype, or
Yeah.
did he do that? Like, no, you need to go and get a guy like Grady Dick from Kansas. If he falls to like, hold on, let me pull up the order.
If this nigga say 17, I'm gonna lose my shit.
No, you know it.
I'm gonna lose my shit, bro.
Nah, but for real, though, all jokes aside, if he can fall, but that's the thing though, Chris. In the top 10, I mean, in the top 15, top 17, bro, most of these teams got 2 picks.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, so it's like, where are they gonna go? To the Lakers. Come on, bro. You know where I'm going.
You know
with
what?
this.
I'm gonna cut you off. Sean, go ahead. Wrap us up.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
To be honest, bro, when you really kind of like going back what y'all was saying, like at this point, like you kind of just got to execute and what your team needs, and you just got to get what your team needs. Like Portland's sitting at 3, like with everything going on, Damian Lillard, everything, like we all know that situation, that story, or whatever. The same story that happens every offseason. But
facts.
can you make a wrong decision sitting at 3rd? Like that's really the question that I'm really looking at, because like if I'm Charlotte, I have a look. You know what I'm saying? To be honest, Charlotte can't make the wrong decision either. You're sitting at 2.
Oh, okay. You was talking about.
You got LaMelo a few years ago. You kind of need to. This is an important pick for them as well. But if I'm Portland, you're in a certain situation where you can't make the wrong pick. Dame is still there as of right now, as of what we know of. You know what I'm saying? Like the last thing that I feel like they should do is piss them off. And I feel like the track record shows that they're pretty good at doing that. So that's just my question for y'all. Like if you're Portland, is there a wrong choice to make in this situation?
I think to answer your question, it's all dependent upon what Charlotte does. That's why if you look at a lot of the reports, a lot of this stuff is smokescreen. Like, oh, Charlotte's entertaining this, Portland's entertaining that. No, them two are really going back and forth like 2 females. Like they're trying to figure out, okay, what are they going to do? What are they going to get? All right, is he going to get Brandon Miller, or are they going to get Scoot Henderson? Like, what are they going to do? So, and Mark, I'm going to get to you. So my thing is Portland can only do, or they're kind of at the mercy of Charlotte. So I'm Portland. If Charlotte grabs Brandon Miller, I'm looking to trade, because you have Anthony Simons. There's no point in getting a 0.5 upgrade of an athletic version of him. I think Anthony Simons shoots better than Scoot. I think Scoot is probably a slightly better passer, but not by much. If we're talking about just overall guard play, it's pretty neck and neck. But Anthony Simons is young, and he already has shown that he can drop 30 points. So with Scoot, it's a lot of potential. I'm not going to draft potential when I have somebody who can do what you can do and has already done it at the highest level of basketball. So that's that. But Mark, go ahead.
To answer your question, Sean, I'm gonna go totally opposite of Chris. Just like you said, you can't really go off the reports of, oh, they're entertaining this, or they're, you know what I'm saying, doing all of this. But it's like at the end of the day, that's kind of what we got to go off of, because none of us are in the circle of the NBA, or That's crazy.
Go ahead.
But in my opinion, I feel like Portland wants Scoot really bad because I feel like they are looking at it like, okay, that's kind of like a Dame CJ type situation again. Like Scoot can play the 2 or the 1, just like CJ can play the 2 or the 1 with Dame. I feel like if Charlotte grabs Scoot, I don't think Portland goes Brandon Miller. I think Portland goes one of the Thompson twins, in my opinion, because I feel like they looking at it just like Shane. I was about to say Shannon Sharp, Staden Sharp, athletic guard, high flying slasher. We haven't seen too much on the ball action with him or shooting too much, showing us that he can do other things other than slash and dunk and alley oops and things of that nature. I feel like they want a Thompson twin because they're kind of in the same realm of each other. They're all athletic. They all like to slash, and they're just a guard. I don't think they want Brandon Miller because if you look at it, Portland never really grabbed a small forward when they should have. Kevin Durant, for example. You could have easily had Kevin Durant in your circle.
Very
easily.
true.
I think Portland's looking at it from a guard's perspective. Like that's what we need to be successful. And with Dame, you don't need another guard with him. Like you said, if that's the case, why would you keep Anthony Simons if you knew once you got the 3rd pick? Why would you keep him knowing you were about to go get a guard with the 3rd pick and you knew you already had him? To your point, Chris, you should have just got rid of him, clear space, grab you a 2 guard, and then do your thing. But that's why I feel like they're going to go with one of them Thompson twins just because of what they bring to the game. Brandon Miller's he's more of a Charlotte type guy. Well, I feel like he should go to Charlotte. Hey, bro. I'm just saying he's more of a.
I don't know what that means. I didn't know what you meant by that. That's why I made that face.
Oh,
what you meant by that?
I'm just saying as far as like, okay, as the small forward, who's your guy that's able to be in the post and stretch the floor right now without no draft? You don't have one.
Well, we have one, but the nigga but go ahead.
Exactly. So I feel like you got, not you, but like Charlotte is trying to replace Miles Bridges, not his talent, because Brandon Miller is not a Miles Bridges, but as far as his play style and him being able to have his back to the basket a little bit and he can stretch the floor, I don't think Charlotte is really going to go with another guard, which, Scoot probably would fit better for you, but I just think y'all probably going to go Brandon Miller just because you already got a 2. And my thing is, why not? You can let Kelly play the 2.
Kelly's a free agent. So that's
they don't got Kelly no more.
So I'm gonna put it like
Lakers.
And I'm gonna put it like this, and we're gonna go to the next topic before we get to Reek's point. No pick for Charlotte is a bad pick. I think for Scoot, though, if we were to get Scoot, a lot of things have to happen. I've been reading Twitter for the past 2 months now. No one in these Charlotte Hornet fans make no fucking sense. You're talking about drafting Scoot, Terry Rozier on the bench. I'm not putting it. I'm paying $30 million a year on the bench.
They're casuals.
People, it's not even casual. It's common sense. You wouldn't, if you have your best asset, or I would say best, you are paying an asset the most dollars. Why would you put that on the bench and it doesn't touch the floor? As a business, let's just look at this from a team perspective, because I think everybody's looking at this from a basketball perspective, and that's what kind of pisses me off, because I'm like, contractually, it don't make sense. Financially, it don't make sense. Even from a rotation perspective, it don't make sense. So obviously, if you grab Scoot, Terry Rozier needs to be out. He needs to go ahead and get his bags packed. Like that needs to go ahead and happen. I don't know what these new boys, I don't know what J. Cole and them got to do to make it happen, but make it happen.
and that's why I feel like Scoot isn't a good option for you, because if you grab Scoot, granted, he will be a good option, just from a basketball standpoint. But if you grab Scoot and you don't make no move with Terry Rozier, what are you doing? Like, so what's gonna be the lineup? Terry off the bench, Scoot off the bench, but you just drafted him with the number 2 pick, but he's off the bench.
But you know what? I just thought about something. Honestly, if you go off of your logic, either pick doesn't make sense then, because we're also guard heavy and we already have 3 wing players. Now, granted, are these wing players guys that
Gordon can come off the bench? I don't care.
Gordon can come off the bench, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Brandon can take his spot. Gordon can come off the bench. That's more reasonable than
they need a small forward.
Yes, they do need a small forward. But I'm going off of your logic of if there's already too many guards, why draft a guard? My personal opinion, there's too many wing players. So if I'm only going off of your
But
logic,
but to counteract to your argument of what you just said about the Scoot and Terry Rozier, with Terry contractual doesn't make sense coming off the bench, or rotational doesn't make sense coming off the bench. Gordon Hayward makes total sense coming off the bench behind Brandon Miller.
it actually don't. Why? Because they're both
How?
getting paid $30 million.
I mean, at this point,
So contractually, it still don't make sense.
Listen, gang.
I was
listen.
with him until he said it out loud.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
I was
once
with him until he
what-
said it out loud.
Rick-
It makes sense for Gordon Hayward to sit on the bench behind Brandon
It
Miller.
do-
I said,
no,
I don't think so. It don't sound
No,
right.
no. Hold on. No. I'm just saying from the play stand, I didn't know Gordon Hayward made $30 million a year. I
Yes,
didn't know
bro.
that.
Oh,
He's
So
actually, I want to say this
Okay.
is his last year, this upcoming year,
making that.
$30 million.
Okay, so I take that back. So either way, it doesn't make sense because they're both $30 million coming off the bench. But what I'm saying, as far as Brandon Miller starting over and Gordon Hayward, as far as basketball now we're going back to the basketball side.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon Hayward can come off the bench and figure himself out. Terry Rozier can't come off that bench and still be productive
before,
to the Terry Rozier. Where?
Celtics.
When?
You don't remember that?
I think
Who was in
he has
front
a
of him?
better chance of coming off the bench than Gordon Hayward do.
Kyrie.
How?
'Cause
Gordon
Terry-
Hayward? Oh,
Because
whoa. Is that,
I'm saying-
hold on, Rick. I'm gonna let you finish. Hold on. Chris, you just said Kyrie. That's why he got traded to Charlotte. When Kyrie came back off the injury, he was upset that he lost his minute. He was like, how y'all gonna forget about the guy? Hold on, Chris.
Go ahead.
Chris. I know
Because I actually had a quick rebuttal.
Hold on.
I was going to
I
stop
know,
your
let me
argument.
cook,
The only reason why I was going to stop your
Let
argument,
me-
the only reason why I was going to stop your argument was because it was
Go ahead.
MJ who called. It wasn't Brad Stevens who called Charlotte. That's the only reason why I stopped your argument.
Okay, I mean, I get that. Whatever the case is, I get it. But all I'm saying is, all I'm saying is, when Kyrie came back, and I know Kyrie and Scoot is not the same level. I get that. But
They
when
officially
Kyrie
got
came
broke.
back, Scoot, Terry Rozier felt like away. Like, how y'all gonna forget about what I've done when Kyrie got hurt? I stepped in and carried it to the playoffs, or helped carry to the playoffs. I was hitting big shots against Eric Bledsoe and Giannis and them boys. So I feel like with Terry Rozier now, when LaMelo was out, who was your number one option? Terry Rozier. So for him to now go to the bench, it's kind of like, at this point, just trade me. Gordon Hayward, I feel like he would better mentally understand, okay, Brandon Miller is the starter. Cool. I can come off the bench, you know what I'm saying, still be that guy in the second group. Gordon Hayward's done it. We've seen him do it. Terry Rozier did it unwillingly. Like, you know what I'm saying? He had a fuss about it. He was upset. He wanted to be out, and he got traded. That's why I said Gordon Hayward can come off the bench better than Terry Rozier, in my opinion. But with them both making $30 million, neither one of them deserves to come off the bench. But, I mean, it's Charlotte we talking about. So
No, I definitely understand. And I know Reek has something. And after Reek, we're going to go to the next topic.
Okay. I think depending on who the Charlotte Hornets take, somebody getting traded for Portland.
Yeah.
If whether that's Damian Lillard, because Damian Lillard camp done already came out and said they don't want to do no youth movement. So I feel like
he just said that he want to
Charlotte,
rebuild and he want to.
He just said he wanted to stay.
That's what I'm saying.
he said he
that's why
wanted
I
to
don't like
stay,
it.
but he said he didn't want to do no youth movement. So that basically means y'all need to trade some people to get some older vets in here so we can go get a chance to go win something. He said he'd stay, but he didn't want to do a youth movement. So I feel like if no matter who they pick, somebody getting traded for a veteran, or they're gonna pick for somebody else so they can get that trade with maybe I don't know with who. I don't think they're drafting for themselves now. At this point, now that Dame Dollar done said he's staying, no matter who they pick, let's just once I done said it out loud, scratch Charlotte off of there. It don't matter who they draft. No matter who they pick, they're not picking for the Portland Trailblazers no more. I think they're picking for somebody in later in the draft that can use that person now, and then they can trade them, or somebody that's still in the top 10, the same way what the Texans do this season in the NFL draft. Drafted they do, then came back later in the draft high still in the top 10. I think they were still top 5, wasn't they? Or they were still top 10.
It was top 10.
And then came back and did that. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think they're going to
Draft for somebody else.
Draft for somebody else, trade them to that team that could use him now, and then take a superstar, some type of star, and come bring him to Dame Dollar.
To be honest with you, before we go to the next topic, I like what you said, Rick. And one team would be looking at the draft order. I can see Portland drafting whoever at 3, trading that draft pick to Toronto for maybe Siakam, maybe.
See, the only thing about Siakam is Siakam's camp done already said whatever team he goes to, he not re-signing with them.
What about the Clippers for Paul George?
Yeah, I was thinking about the Clippers because you got to go look for a team that's ready to dismantle and start over. The Clippers have already, or even if they're not trying to start over, they're trying to revamp.
They're trying to break up them two. Yeah.
Yeah, they said they're trying to break up Kawhi and Paul George, so they might trade Paul George to and get either a Brandon Miller or a Scoot, and Scoot might be their guy.
Scoot with Russell.
I mean,
oh my God.
Hold on.
That's not appealing.
Congratulations.
Sound like a turnover machine.
I swear to God.
I ain't gonna call Scoot a turnover machine.
But he don't have to be, but Russ is enough to cover for him and Scoot's turnovers. Trust.
You know what? I'm not even gonna let y'all do Russ like that, bro.
I'm just saying,
we're not gonna do Russ like
be
that.
real.
Russ MVP.
Oh my God! Now we talking about 2015 Russ. This one I don't like basketball. This one I don't like y'all because we're not about to do Russ like that. What about them MVPs?
Russ right now is crazy.
That was 35 years ago, bro.